My name's Vajratara, and I've come to kick off your meditation challenge. This is going to be fun, isn't it? Everyone likes a challenge, especially ones that require sitting down and inhabiting the body rather than jumping up and down. So, does anyone notice a difference, for those of you who did the body scan just there, did anyone notice a difference between when you started and when you emerged? Brave enough to say?
I think it took me a while. So I was definitely in my head to start off with. So I was sat comfortably, but I had like millions of thoughts. But then eventually I actually followed your guidance and I started scanning the body. And I feel really, really relaxed right now.
Oh, there you go. Good for you. That's good. Good. Follow my advice. That's what I tell my nieces and nephews, but I don't think they've learned that one yet. Anyone else feel any different? Yeah?
I would say, at the beginning I found myself being really caught up with thoughts and pop up and be like, oh, it's quite important actually, need to think about that a little bit more. But then towards the end felt more able to kind of step back from that and just kind of go back into the body for about 5 seconds.
Did you feel different at the end though?
Yeah, I did feel kind of more free of just being able to kind of catch up with everything that's going on in my mind.
Yeah?
Now I feel more grounded and present in what's going on here and now.
Yeah, good. Grounded and present. Fantastic. So in a way, what you've done is you've learnt something, haven't you? Even doing for that little exercise, just 10 minutes of going a bit deeper into your inhabiting your body. I saw this really good New Year's thing, which was instead of getting in shape, what does getting in shape in the new year mean? What shape? You're already a shape. Everyone's a shape. Why don't we just try and inhabit our shape? Inhabit the body rather than trying to get a different body to the one you've got already. Just actually be present within this body. It's quite a radical thing to do. And even that little exercise will show you kind of 2 very important principles in life, basically, which is that you can get a glimpse of a different way of being, even from just doing a body scan, a possibility of who we can become and a different way of being, and also how to do it. So you're all here in your new year, you've got out of bed on a Saturday morning, probably after your first week at work, possibly, and after the Christmas break or whatever. Which is a big deal actually, came through the rain to get here because you've seen a glimpse of a different way of being, a glimpse of who you can become and how to get there. And what you've also seen is that how to get there is not just by getting a better Christmas present or a new phone or a new pair of jeans or whatever people want nowadays. I always say new phone and new pair of jeans, and I think, is that what I want? Actually, probably quite true. There's this little secret Freudian slip in there. But you know what, you've seen that it's not just about building an external world around you, it's about changing the mind itself. That actually, if we want to inhabit a different way of being or be a different way of being, we're not going to get that by rearranging the world to suit ourselves. It's about rearranging, in a way, our mind. We've seen that to achieve who we want to be, we've got to start at the source, and the source is the mind. So one of the things that the Buddha said is he said, experiences are led by mind and produced by mind. And that is absolutely radical, because we're taught so much that experiences are produced by external events. One of the things that I'm quite interested in is I'm quite interested in advertising, partly because I'm lucky enough to live in rural Wales and not really watch TV very much, so I'm not exposed to very much advertising. So I'm not bored of it yet. I'm quite interested in what people are selling. And what people are selling is they're selling a state of mind. So you get this thing at particular times of the year when new cars come out. You get these adverts, which is someone driving really fast on a really windy road in the Alps or something. And then you think, I want to feel like that. I want to feel free. So you think, how can I get freedom? I could buy that car. And of course the car has got nothing to do. If you drive that car around South London, you are not going to feel free. You might have a better stereo than your current car, but you're not going to feel that sense of freedom of driving around the Alps on a really windy road. Or they've got, pictures of alcohol. I was looking at this one for alcohol, and what it's got is it's got a lot of kind of young people, sort of young professional people having fun. And there's a kind of feeling of connection and warmth and aliveness, sort of a vibrancy of intelligence somehow. And you think, oh, great, so how can I get that? Well, I'll drink the alcohol. Well, of course, alcohol doesn't actually have that effect. Like lively intelligence and kind of sparkling connection does not happen with alcohol. We sort of know that, but we think, where can I go for that state of mind? So that's what we're kind of sold in a way. It's always good to think, what are these adverts really selling? What are adverts really selling? Are they selling this thing, or are they selling a state of mind? They're selling a state of mind of freedom, happiness, creativity. But of course we can't get happiness and freedom and creativity by by owning or having various things. We can cultivate those qualities by directly with the mind, through the mind. And of course, the states of mind of freedom and happiness and creativity are influenced by external things, but they're not determined by them. They're not created by them. So, it's not without its effect, external conditions. But actually, freedom, happiness, creativity are a state of mind, a state of being. And we can cultivate that directly through meditation, work with the mind, working on the mind itself. So I'll say a bit more about that, but first of all, I just wanted to sort of, in a way, encourage a reflection of what state of mind or what state of being do we want to be in. And when I was reflecting on this question myself, a story came to mind from the life of the Buddha, which is not, of course it will because I'm a Buddhist, but also Buddhism was originally an oral tradition, so it's got the best stories. In fact, and this is an aside, the first Buddhist texts ever written down, they couldn't work out what they were in the British Library, and this is like 3rd century BC, it was 2nd century BC, was prompts for storytellers. So they were big sort of pieces of leaves or whatever they wrote on, that were very short sentences in big writing, and they realised there was prompts for storytelling. So you've got this whole oral tradition, and of course within an oral tradition you're going to have good stories. Anyway, one of my favourites is the story of Nalagiri, who is the mad elephant. So it might be a surprise to know that not everyone liked the Buddha, including his cousin Devadatta, who really wanted to lead the followers of the Buddha himself. So he bribed the mahout. The mahout is the kind of keeper of elephants, to set loose a dangerous, mad, man-eating elephant onto the Buddha. So he said, look, the Buddha's going to walk through the town at this particular time, so set loose Nalagiri on the Buddha. Nalagiri's the elephant's name. And apparently the townspeople got wind of this, so they all hid in their houses and they were watching out the window to see what was going to happen. And a very strange aside in the story is that they were all hanging out the windows, and then they all started saying, "Oh, it's a shame the Buddha's going to die. He's so handsome." I was like, okay, I would have thought someone might warn the Buddha about this, event. So some of them said, "Oh, it's a real shame he's going to die. He's so handsome," and the others were saying, "Tusker is going to contend with Tusker." Meaning the mad elephant is going to contend with the elephant of humans, the sort of elephant of men. What happened was the Buddha came along and he walked mindfully and slowly up the road. He must have thought, why isn't anyone else here? Kind of imagine it like a kind of Wild West scene. And a few bits of tumbleweed, whatever, walking around this dusty road. And then the elephant comes towards him. And it said then that the Buddha encompassed or impermeated the elephant and himself in the mind of loving kindness. For those of you who are familiar with Buddhist terminology, that's metta-citta. So he encompassed them or permeated himself and the elephant, and in a way everything around him, in the mind of loving kindness. Some translations actually say he thrilled the mind with loving kindness, which I think is quite interesting. It suggests it's a little bit more of a kind of vibrant quality. But yeah, he pervaded his own being and the being of the elephant with loving kindness. So the elephant was running towards him, which must have been quite a frightening thing. Elephants are big, they make a lot of noise when they run. Running towards him, he started to slow down, and eventually came to the Buddha, rested his head on the ground. And the Buddha started stroking his forehead with his right hand, it says. And then Nalagiri, the elephant, took his trunk, got some dust from the Buddha's feet, and then sprinkled it on his own head. So it's quite a simple story, but it's a very, very beautiful image, because I think sometimes it can feel like life hopefully isn't like a man-eating elephant. But it feels like life can be bearing down upon us in that sense, that you haven't quite got control of what's happening, or you're not quite in control of what's happening, and it can feel like a force moving towards you, of which you have very little control. And in a way, that story shows, from the Buddhist point of view, the importance of just facing it head on. So he didn't run. If you try and outrun an elephant, apparently it's you're not gonna outrun an elephant. So he faced the elephant head on, and he encompassed the elephant. He pervaded the elephant with this mind of loving kindness. So in a way, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do in meditation. We're trying to cultivate this positive state of mind in which we can encompass the whole thing with loving kindness. But of course, in order to reach that state of mind, it's all very well for the Buddha. I think if a mad elephant was running towards me, I probably wouldn't have that kind of sense of presence. But in order to cultivate that state of mind, we've got the method. We've got the method, and the method is meditation. It does need some training, and the training is meditation, where meditation is the conscious cultivation of mental states, with the mind working directly on the mind. So the mind here, as I said before, is chitta. Chitta means heart-mind. It's not just intellect. So often we tend to separate the mind from the body, that we can think one thing and the body is doing something completely different. From a Buddhist point of view, you don't separate from the mind from the body. It's a whole psychophysical organism, as it were. So chitta is more like a body-mind response. And if you were going to locate it, you would locate it more around the heart centre. So it would be like you'd say chitta is here. Of course, it's not really here. But you wouldn't say chitta is in your brain, if you see what I mean. It's in your being. It's the centre of your being. So you're cultivating more like a state of being. Chitta is more like awareness itself. So that's awareness of the body and all the responses to our physical sensations and to the world around us. It's a state of being, a state of awareness itself. So if we go back to the story of Nalagiri, the man-eating elephant, In a way, it gives us an indication of the kind of mind, the kind of state of being that we're cultivating within meditation. So you think of the Buddha. So the Buddha is a human being. He's completely present in his own being. He's completely present in his own awareness and in his own body. So you know that because he didn't leg it. If you're not present in your body just reacts, and it, before you know it, you've gone and done something that you weren't intending to do. So with all the greatest intentions in the world for, giving up sugar, I think I've managed to say I'm giving up sugar for the new year. I don't know how quite I've managed to do that, but anyway. So, you've got your great intention to give up sugar, but your body's doing something different, and there's a mince pie on the countertop and you've eaten it before you know. So the Buddha wasn't like that. He's got a state of mind where he's completely present within the body, completely present with his intentions, and awareness of his own responses. Perhaps he did experience some fear, he talks about. So maybe he's present with a certain amount of fear. Physical responsiveness. He's present with his own intentions, his own state of mind, and that mind is able to sort of pervade his own being, but also pervade this elephant. He's aware very much of what's going on around him, the empty street, the houses. There's no separation in his awareness between himself and the external world, between himself and this elephant bearing down upon him. And not only is he aware of all those things, but he's aware of those things with love. It's a specific mental state of love. And that awareness has such an intensity that it actually transforms the elephant himself. So it's a very still state of mind. The Buddha isn't running, he's not reacting. It's a very still state of mind, but it's also extremely alive and vibrant. So that's why I quite like the translation the awareness thrills. They're in the same root as thrilling, which I won't go into the Pali of it, but it's the same root. So you've got it's a very alive, permeating is not just a kind of dead, passive state of mind. It's actually thrilling and alive. So you've got this quality of calm, stillness, and also aliveness and energy. So there's 3 qualities of mind that we cultivate in meditation. They're called the 3 absorptions, and I think they come out in that story of Nalagiri. So the first is clarity. So in meditation we're cultivating a sense of clarity, so we can see what's happening when it's happening. We don't run from it or look the other way. We don't blame other people for our experience or try and wriggle out of it. Try and face the other way, which is what we tend to do. We tend to try and block out our actual experience, either from distracting ourselves, scrolling, watching, program after program, or drugs, alcohol, or even just trying to think of something else and pretend something's not happening, So often we're trying to actually move away from our awareness. Well, in meditation what we do is we just face it all as it is, whether it's peace and love and joy, or whether it's like a man eating elephant. Whatever our experience is, we just see it for as it is. And meditation provides us with a state of clarity. Actually, the literal translation is thusness. It is as it is. That's what it means. It's just like this. It's just like this. And that provides some perspective. We can sort of stand a bit outside our experience in some ways, to see it as it is without trying to avoid it, or try and have more of it. You're just here. You're just standing here in your experience, or sitting here in your experience as it is. And the meditation that we use to cultivate this particular state of mind of clarity is the mindfulness of breathing. So the mindfulness of breathing is a very important practice because it's using the breath to guide us into sort of deeper states of awareness and clarity. And it's using the breath because the breath is very much located in the body and it's moving, so it's sort of interesting. But it unites, it integrates the body and the mind, awareness and awareness of the body. So it kind of brings your attention into what's actually happening right now. And what's happening now universally is that you're breathing. So we're just going to bring our minds into that breathing experience. So it's a very embodied focus, the mindfulness of breathing, and it helps integrate our awareness between our body and our mind. So we're not just pulling in many, many different directions, So we've all had that experience, like Joe was saying, of like, your mind goes here and your mind goes there, and one thing attracts you and then another. It's like a little kitten, isn't it? Sort of running around. But with the breath, we're kind of tempting it in like a little piece of wool or whatever cats play with. The cat got the mindfulness of breathing for Christmas. And it's going to focus its awareness in. So that's the first, what's called the first absorption, or sort of quality of awareness that we're going to cultivate in meditation, is clarity. And the second absorption, the second sort of state of mind we're going to cultivate in meditation is love. So love is not just an addition to your experience. It's not like you start off as this incredibly horrible person that feels no love at all, and we're going to make you feel love. Like you're going to kind of grab it from somewhere else and plop it inside you. What all the great Buddhist masters have seen from the time of the Buddha and beyond, is that within consciousness itself, within the fundamental consciousness of every being themselves, every human being themselves, is love. It's the part of our way of being. And of course, lots of other things happen in life, so we get constricted around other people and things because of the experiences we've had in life. So we kind of pull back from that, if you like, even bodily pull back from love. But actually, the state of awareness itself, the absorption of awareness itself, is love. And it doesn't take very long to see that when you meditate. I do think this is one of the things I'm absolutely convinced of, and there is nothing that anyone could say that would stop me being convinced of it, because I've seen it directly myself, that within the fabric of awareness itself is love, woven into that. There's a sensitivity to life. And in a way, what meditation has helped me do is it's helped me get back to that sensitivity that is naturally there, that's kind of, distracted or constricted through the experiences of life. But what meditation does is it brings me back to that fundamental consciousness of love, of sensitivity to life that we resonate with, that we all resonate with. Sometimes I think that's how movies work, because all that's happening is you all have the same emotional response, or you've kind of got to it cultivates an emotional response to the character, for example. But that's only because you're inside the character's world. And then it's natural to feel an emotion towards a character if you're in their world, if you see what I mean. It's not like you have to be a special person to experience love. It's like, actually, it's more to do with you're just being aware of another person. And when you're truly aware of another person and all the sort of things that happen to them and all the things that go on for them, you can't help feel a response for love. Or a sensitivity to that person. Even if they're behaving very badly, it's almost like you can see why they're behaving very badly. There's a sensitivity to that. And there's a kind of pain if people are experiencing behaving very badly. So there's a sensitivity to life itself, life resonating with life, and that is what we also cultivate in meditation. But Buddha could somehow feel that elephant. You know, the elephant was coming towards him, and he could feel it, and the elephant could feel the Buddha. Somehow, you know, there's a resonance there. There's what our teacher Sangha says is a vital mutual responsiveness. So we tune into that. We tune into the love that's there for ourselves and for other beings. And the practice that we use to do that is the metta bhavana. So metta means loving kindness, and bhavana means cultivation. But cultivation here doesn't mean like it means cultivation in the sense of growing a plant, that you nurture the plant and it grows, rather than you make something happen that hasn't happened already. So so the metta bhavana puts us in touch with that loving aspect of consciousness, and we tune into the love that's there. That's positive emotion. So what's happening next Wednesday, Jnana Vajratara is coming, and he's going to go a bit more into, what's it called, the secrets of integration. The secret of integration. So you go into
secret meaning.
Oh, the secret meaning. Oh yeah, secret meaning. That's more exciting. The secret meaning of integration. So that will be the sort of clarity aspect. And then the week after, on the Wednesday evening, Surya Gupta is coming, and she's going to do the secret meaning of positive emotion. That's fun, isn't it? That there's a secret there. I want to know. There is a secret. There's lots of secrets in consciousness, and they're all really quite good as well. They're not secrets. They're not like horrible secrets. There's just so much that is possible within the mind. Anyway, so the third aspect, the third absorption, and the third aspect of consciousness is responsiveness. So clarity and love are not static things. They're vibrant and alive. There's a movement towards life. So you don't just feel clear and aware of what's happening in that present moment. There's also love there. There's an emotional quality to that awareness, and then there's also a responsiveness. There's also a movement to help others, to be of service to ourselves and others. And this isn't just about trying to be good or sort of busily active helping people. So the only way I can explain this is a bit like, normally if we think of helping other people or moving towards people, we think about it as kind of leaving our body and moving outwards to sort of do something for that person over here. But in the Buddhist tradition, what we're trying to do in meditation, what we contact in meditation, is a responsiveness that's also stillness. So you don't leave your own being in order to sort someone else out. As we all know, that's usually a disaster when that happens. If you try and leave your own sort of thoughts and feelings and emotions and just try and help someone else and leave yourself behind. So it's not a movement outside of ourselves. It's a complete sort of tuning into ourselves and responding to another living being. So this is again what Sangha calls the vital mutual responsiveness. It's true communication is a vital mutual responsiveness. So we respond to others. And it almost can have a kind of magical quality. So as in the case of Buddha and his response to Nalagiri, the elephant. His response wasn't to run around and get really anxious and then try and give the elephant a good talking to. Actually, his response was to stand still. So it might be that our responsiveness is to stand still in a mind of loving kindness. It's not that you're necessarily active in that obvious sense. The Buddha stood still and he stretched out his right hand and he just stroked the elephant's forehead. And then the elephant's response was to take the dust from the Buddha's feet and to sprinkle himself with that dust. So who knows what will happen? Who knows what will happen? But what is true is that meditation does change your life. It means it will have an effect in the way you live your life, in the way we live our lives. So I think this is actually to do with the area of ethics, which you're not going to go directly into necessarily on the meditation challenge, but any kind of thing that you do with this community will involve you looking at the way you live your life. Not that anyone's going to tell anyone how to live their life. That is also a complete disaster when that happens. So it's more like you just start reflecting on it, and that's when you also really need people around you who are practicing the path of meditation, just to talk about things with, talk about what you are doing in your life. And it's very much part and parcel of meditation. So integration, clarity, love, positive emotion will affect the way we behave, and the way we behave will affect our states of mind and our states of being, will affect our meditation. So this will come out during the challenge. Meditation will affect your life. It will affect how we are with people, how we communicate with people, and the choices that we make. So that's why it's really, really good to do it with other people. It's really good to do it with other people because we can encourage each other, we can talk about what we're doing, and anything that arises during the course of meditating. I mean, meditating every day is quite a significant thing to do with your state of being, and your state of being might slightly restructure itself, subtly restructure itself. And we'll need the support of other people on the same path to explore that with. So so we've got the meditation, but we've also got each other, and keeping in communication with each other about what's happening. So that's what we're doing and why we're doing it. We're embarking on a journey of deepening clarity and love and responsiveness. So if you're happy to, we'll do another little meditation.